Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Browns tumble in NFL power rankings after Week 1 defeat. The Cleveland Browns have slipped from 14th to 22nd in Sports Illustrated's NFL power rankings following a disappointing 33-17 loss to the Dallas Cowboys in their season opener. The drop reflects growing concerns over the team's offensive struggles and defensive lapses as they prepare for Week 2. Cleveland's offense managed just 230 total yards against a Dallas defense that, despite conceding some yards, held firm when it mattered most. Quarterback Deshaun Watson had a challenging outing, completing only 53% of his passes with 2 interceptions, which stunted the Browns' ability to build any offensive momentum. Watson's performance under pressure remains a critical issue, especially with the offensive line unable to provide consistent protection against Dallas' defensive front led by Micah Parsons. Defensively, the Browns allowed Dallas to score 33 points despite limiting the Cowboys to 265 total yards. Cleveland's defense, anchored by star edge rusher Myles Garrett, could not generate the necessary pressure to disrupt the Cowboys' game plan. Garrett, who remains a key player and was recently named to NFL analyst Bucky Brooks' NFL All-22 roster, was contained for much of the game, highlighting the need for improved defensive execution. With a challenging matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars looming in Week 2, the Browns must find answers quickly. Head coach Kevin Stefanski and his staff will be tasked with bolstering the offensive line and stabilizing the running game, especially with Nick Chubb sidelined for several weeks. The trio of Jerome Ford, Dante Foreman, and Pierre Strong Jr. will need to step up to fill the void left by Chubb. A win against Jacksonville could provide the Browns with the momentum needed to regain their footing and improve their ranking. As the season progresses, Cleveland must make adjustments and show resilience to compete in a tough AFC North. Cowboys' snap counts at defensive tackle show they are experimenting with the best packages. There isn't much that hasn't been said positively about the Dallas Cowboys defense in their season-opening win against the Cleveland Browns. The 33-17 statement win on the road puts the team in the familiar position of starting strong on this side of the ball and giving an offense full of players that didn't get reps in the preseason time to take form. The Cowboys were able to do this under Dan Quinn, and didn't miss a beat in announcing to the league that Mike Zimmer's defense is here to pick up right where the now Commanders head coach left off. With a ton of room for improvement and fine-tuning on both sides of the ball, the Cowboys still had 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a forced turnover on downs against Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, and the Browns' offense. The Cowboys' game plan was able to put the Browns in a position where they had to drop back and be a one-dimensional passing team, which not only told us a lot about a secondary still without CB Darren Bland, but also the rotation on the defensive line. The defensive tackle position was a work in progress for the Cowboys all through training camp, the preseason, and right up until the start of the regular season as they looked to give Zimmer the right guys to work with on the interior. These new additions in Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips both made their team debuts on Sunday, but it was carryover players Osa Odigizua and Chauncey Galston that led the way in snaps at DT over Joseph, Phillips, and last year's top draft pick Motzie Smith. The Cowboys' big lead might have led to unusual snap counts in Week 1, especially as the Browns were forced into more passing situations which don't play to the strengths of Smith and Joseph. The Cowboys' defense clearly looked at their best when put in this position to rush the passer constantly, where edge players DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons mostly stole the show. It will be interesting to see if this rotation at tackle stays the same when Dallas finds themselves in more evenly matched games against balanced offenses. Did we see just the obvious passing downs rotation, or can Will Galston continue to get a lot of run at tackle? The Cowboys' young linebacking group responded well to the defensive alignment in front of them against the Browns, filling gaps and staying off blocks to make plays all over the field as DeMarvion Overshown shined and veteran Eric Kendricks had the first interception of the season. This is what Zimmer is looking for up front, seeing Odigizwa make good on being one of the rare players that didn't see a single snap all preseason. He is the Cowboys' clear number one at the 3 technique spot. It is also important to note when talking about how the Cowboys line up across their front four that Micah Parsons saw a few snaps on the interior against the Browns. Lawrence is capable of doing the same, as is rookie defensive end Marshawn Kneeland. Having the benefit of confusing an opposing offense with who may be rushing from where is obviously something Zimmer wants to take advantage of, but more stout run-stuffing players like Smith or Joseph can make this difficult. Phillips is a hybrid player that takes interior linemen by surprise with his ability to rush the passer at his size, and this role will be valuable to avoid wear and tear on the best rusher of this group in Odigizwa. The Cowboys' run defense may not be 100% fixed, but the fact is they put in a solid performance on the road in their first game playing a new scheme at full game speed. Doing so while the snap count shows so much room for Motzi Smith and Linval Joseph to help them against more physical run teams is encouraging. September football is truly about learning for the first time what a team's players can do in game situations, and right now the Cowboys' defense is showing they can stay assignment sound up and down the depth chart. If Dallas offense gets off to the hot start at home like they did last year, look for the defense to be able to continue prioritizing players that can affect the quarterback lining up in the front 7 over the next 2 weeks. Despite what some fans have been saying since the end of the season, and more recently when the Cowboys felt the need to add at DT late in the process, this doesn't mean that Motzi Smith can't still play an important role for this defense. The team is just getting started with the looks that Zimmer can deploy, and having versatility at all 3 levels is a huge reason why they feel comfortable with the way this defense can evolve. Defensive tackle is an important position to have depth at, and based on the first regular season game the Cowboys have veteran depth just waiting to play more snaps when called upon. Cowboys have paid big for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Now attention turns to Micah Parsons. There was the snap where Micah Parsons ran unblocked from the left edge, and then the snap when he shed multiple blockers en route to a sack of Deshaun Watson. There was the snap when Parsons lined up from the right and engaged then disengaged with backup left tackle James Hudson III en route to chasing Watson down in the backfield. And then the snap where Parsons collided with Watson just as he threw a pass that would land short of its intended receiver, Amari Cooper. Only after these 4 pressures did the Cowboys and Cleveland Browns head to the locker room at halftime, the Browns trailing by 17 as they managed just 1 first down. In Dallas' 33-17 Week 1 win at Cleveland, Parsons ultimately generated 9 pressures and 1 sack on Watson, with a 0.69-second get-off, per NFL Next Gen Stats, whose data considers 0.88 seconds average. In short, Parsons dominated the game. Micah Parsons gets first sack of year at end of Q1 versus Deshaun Watson. And thus fans asked, when, and from whom, will the 2020 first-rounders payday come? Parsons is entering the 4th year of his rookie deal, the final cheap year before his 5th-year option raises his salary by a multiple greater than 7. Afterward, the 2-time All-Pro is expected to earn a hefty contract that likely resets the edge rusher market. But the Cowboys complicated that plan in recent weeks as they signed 2 players to top-of-market deals or close. Will the Cowboys be able to pay Parsons after awarding receiver CeeDee Lamb an extension worth $34 million a year and quarterback Dak Prescott a deal averaging a whopping $60 million? Yahoo Sports asked league sources how they'd handle the balancing act. Team owner Jerry Jones fielded a question about his pocketbook's future, too, during his Tuesday radio interview with Dallas 105.3 The Fan. Is Micah next? The radio host asked. Is he up now? Jones laughed. Obviously, he had a great game out there Sunday and he's an integral part of our team's future, Jones said. We'll see where we go. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Micah Parsons? Leave your opinion in the comments.